Okay, in this video I'm going to go through the algebra revision sheet for the stretch. I'll go through some of them and show work solutions, and then I'll just pop the answers to others in red so you can check your work. Alright, so let's look at this first question. It says find the coefficient of x in each of the following. Now coefficient is the number in front of the letter. Okay, so we're looking for just the number in front of the letter, or we sometimes say the letter, but in maths we call it pronumeral. So we'll do this. Okay, I'm going to just highlight them in this instant. So for this one, the coefficient is 2. It only wants the x term, not anything else. So only the x term. In the second one, it's the 4, and in this C, it would be this one, which is actually a 1. So you'd have to know that a 1 sits in front of that. In this next question, when they ask you to evaluate something, just means solve it, and they've told you that x equals 5 and y equals -3. So every time you see an x, you will put a 5, and every time you see a y, you'll put a -3. So if I did this one, it would be 5 squared minus a -3. So 5 squared is 25, and a minus 3 becomes a plus 3. So just remember, a negative and a negative becomes a positive. So I'm talking about here will become a positive. Okay, so then we just simplify that, and that would be 28. Okay, in the next one, so we're simply going to substitute. Every time we see an x, we'll put a 5, and every time we see a y, we'll put a -3. So I'm just going to do what's under the third symbol there. So 2 times 5 is 10, and then a minus and a minus becomes a plus 3. So what I have underneath is 13. That's as far as I need to go, unless you had your calculator, which you probably won't, so we'll leave that at that. For this C, so I'm substituting. I've got x is 5, y is -3, minus -3 squared. So we've got to remember that when you square something, it becomes a negative. When you square a negative number, it becomes a positive. But because the rule is saying minus, I'll have -9. Now, we want to, this is like saying 9 over 1. So now I want to subtract fractions. When you subtract fractions, you need a common denominator. So I'm going to make this one -5 over 3. Doesn't matter where you have the negative sign. So I could swap it. I've swapped it to the 5 so that I can have +3 down the bottom. And I'm going to change this one to thirds, which means I have to times that top number by 3 as well. So I've got minus, and 3 times 9 is 27. So -5 minus 27 all on 3 ends up being -32 on 3. And that's as far as we can go. That's the simplest answer. Alright, I will do this last one. Just these ones were a little bit more challenging. Alright, so 2 times 5 times -3 over 3 minus -3 squared. Okay, let's keep simpling. 2 times 5 is 10, times -3 is -30 on 3 minus, I'm going to say 9. Now, -30 on 3 ends up being -10, then minus 9, so the answer is -19. Okay, when we're asked to simplify expressions, all we can do is group like terms. So in this first A one, the 5y squared is similar to this 3y squared, and the 3x is similar to 2x. So we can group like terms to simplify. So for this one, it would be 5y squared minus 3y, so it would be 2y squared plus 5x. So that would be the answer here. In this next one, we have 2pq. Even though these letters are round the other way, it's still similar because it's all multiplying. So even though if I have a P and a Q and I still got a Q and P, it's the same thing. So these two are similar, and then the other two, are similar there. So just be careful with that. So if I do my answer, I'm gonna just pick, I might just use the P first because I'll do alphabetical order. So I'll say 5 P Q minus P squared because I have a -3 plus a 2. Okay, just pop the answers in for the other ones. Okay, with the simplifying expressions, we just do as much as the calculations as we can. Now, when we're timesing, we can just times all the numbers together and then place all the letters together. So 5 times 3 is 15, times 2 is 30. So I've got 30y squared. And because I've got 2 x's, I can say x squared there like that when we're multiplying. Okay, with this next one, they're asking us to divide. So what the best thing to do is first maybe do the multiplication. So I'm going to do 2 times 6, which is 12. And then I've got P squared, Q squared, because I've got 2 of them there. If you look, I've got P and P and Q. Now, it says divide by, so I'm going to actually change this to look like a fraction. So I'll do the divide like that, and then I'm going to do this multiplication. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then we've got the P and Q again, P times P squared. So just remember with these, you can always cancel if with top and bottom. So there's 2 P's there, I'm going to take the 2 P's there, cancel. So really I'm saying there's 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 12. So I end up with 12 over 6, which could be 2 is the answer. Okay, I'll pop the answers of the other ones. Okay, I'm just doing question D here. Just be careful when you must do the multiplication first. So remember BODMAS, brackets, then multiplication and division. So then you work left and right. So I've done the multiplication part first, and now I'm left with this, and now I'll do they're actually like terms now. So now I'll do this subtraction. So we end up with 7m squared n squared. So just be careful with that one. With the E, we can cancel down like we did before in the other one. So there's 2 m's here and there's 1 on the bottom. So I'm just going to cross 1 out from the top. So I cross the 2 and the 1 on the bottom. And the same here, I can cross 1 z out here and I'll take 1 of them away. So I'd be left with 1. And so really I'm left with 3m over 9. And we can simplify that 2 to 1 over 3. And we don't really need to have the 1 there, so you'll probably see the answer being m over 3. Okay, with these expand and simplify. So expand means we're going to multiply the brackets out and then we'll group like terms. So if we look here at A, remember we have to multiply each term with each term inside. So I'm going to start with 3x times x, which is 3x squared. Then 3x times -1 is 3x. Then I'm moving to the 4. So 4 times x is 4x. And then 4 times -1 is -4. Now these two in here are like terms. So I can group them together and simplify it. So it'd be 3x squared plus x minus 4. And this is our answer. Okay. With the next one down here under B, I'm just going to move up. We have to remember this is the difference of perfect square. Oh, sorry, this is the perfect square rule. So if we have a plus b squared, we know it's always the first term squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, so we know that this is also like saying a plus b times a plus b. And we saw when we expand it out, we see that we get this pattern all the time. So we practice that, and that's why we're going to do for this one. We're just going to use the rule and use the pattern. So when we see this, so actually this one is an a minus b squared. So if we remember the rule, it's the same, but it's minus in here. if it's a minus inside the bracket. So this one will be the first term squared minus 2 times the first term times the second term, and then plus the last term squared. So if I simplify that, it'd be 4x squared minus 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, so minus 12x plus 9. So this is our answer to B. Okay, now if we look at this one here, this one we can see it's the same but different signs, and that was the rule we learnt, that if we see A plus B and A minus B, it always expanded to A squared minus B squared. So all I have to do for this one is square the first term minus the second term squared. So 7x squared is 49x squared, and 1 squared is 1. So 49x squared minus 1. Okay, this last one, E, I'm going to do with you. Now you just need to do it step by step. So I'm going to do this bit first, expand this bit first, and then my answer I'll expand with the next one. So when we expand, we go x times x, then x times 1, and then we do this way and that way. So x times x, x squared, x times 1 is x, negative 2 times x is 2x, and negative 2 times 1 is 2. So that's what I'd have, and then I'm still multiplying it by this one. I'm just going to tidy up this first bracket by grouping the like terms. So x minus 2x will be minus x 2 and x minus 3. Now I've done this, I'm going to have to multiply everything inside each other again. So what I'm going to do is that multiplied by that and so on, and then you've got to do this term by both things, and then the last one is that by that. Okay, so I'll do that in the colors so you can see. So I've got x squared by x is x cubed, x squared by minus 3 is minus 3x squared. Then I'm doing the green one, the middle term, so negative x by x is negative x squared, and negative x by negative 3 becomes positive 3x. And then the last one that I'm doing is the negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Okay, so now what I need to do is group like terms. There is no other cubed term, so I'm going to put x cubed there. But if I have a look at the squared terms, this is an x squared term, this is an x squared term. So negative 3x squared minus another one would give me minus 4x squared. These x's are similar, so 3x minus 2x is x, and plus 6 is left at the end. So that is my expanded and simplified answer for E. Okay, with these worded questions, always good to draw yourself a diagram, and it'll probably make your life a lot easier, even if they don't ask you to. So here I see it says I've got an equilateral triangle. So what I'm going to go do is draw an equilateral triangle, which means all the sides are the same. And it's saying it has a side length of 2x minus 1. So every one of those sides is 2x minus 1. Now, they're asking me in the question, find the perimeter of this triangle in factorized form. So the perimeter equals when you add all the sides up. And so if you think about it, I have 3 of these and they're all the same. So really I have 3 times is 2x minus 1. Now, when you have a bracket, this is factorized form. Okay, if I expanded it out, it'd be expanded form. So that's all I need to do. There's the perimeter. So I can just write the perimeter equals 3 times 2x minus 1. That's factorized. All right, now for the equation v squared equals u squared minus plus 2 AS, make S the subject. So what that means is, we want to have, it's got V squared equals, what we want is S squared equals. So this is where we rearrange it. So we'll write it down. And what we want to do is get S by itself. So the first thing I want to do is move this over an equal sign. When you move it over, it does the opposite. So at the moment it's like plussing, so your opposite would be minusing. And then I'm left with still positive 2AS over here. Now with this 2AS, it is actually multiplying against that S. So if I move it over an equal sign, it'll do the opposite, which is dividing. So I could say V squared minus U squared divided by 2A, and then I'm just left with the S. So I've got it written that way. It still means the same if I write it V squared, if I put the S first, over 2A. So there's that one. Now, part B wants me to make the U the subject. So I'll do that next to it. So V squared equals U squared plus 2AS. Now we want to get U by itself. So the first thing I'll do is move this plus 2AS over an equal sign. If I move it over an equal sign, it does the opposite, which is minus 2AS equals U squared. Now I actually want to get rid of this squared, and so when you want to sort of move that squared operation over, and the opposite to squaring something is the square root of something. So if I do the square root of V squared minus 2AS equals, and I'm left with U, and there's your answer for B. Okay, now on to factorizing. Now remember the factorizing, we must find the highest common factor first and then take it out. So I will do A here. The highest common factor within these three terms. Now 3 is common to all of them, so I'm going to write 3. A is also common in all of them, just one A, so I'll do that. So if I wrote out that expression with this factor, it'd be 3A times B, that's my first one, minus 3A times 4AB. Remember, I need to make this term needs to equal this term here, which I have. And then minus, I'm making the 9A in terms of 3A, it would be 3A times 3. So we take the common factor out of all of them, which is 3A. So I take 3A outside the bracket, and inside I put everything else. So there's B minus 4AB's left there, minus 3. And that's that one factorized. Okay, I'm going to do the other two on the next page. So looking here, we've got this one, we're looking for the highest common factor amongst these three terms. 4 is common to both of them, and so is x. Okay, so if I write this out in terms of that, I'd have 4x times y, that would be my first term, minus, now I want to use 4x, and what do I need to times that by to get it to 12y squared x? I need to times it by 3y squared, and then plus I've got 4x, and I would have to times it by 2x, so that would be get it to 8x squared. Now if we have a look, the 4x is our highest common factor, so we take that out the front of the bracket and we put what's left. So I've got y minus 3y squared plus 2x, and there's that one factorized. Alright, now this little one over here, this is a little bit different. What we need to understand is when we have this term here, that's actually factors here, because we've got 3x times 2y plus 1. Okay, so this is actually factors there, and then we've got plus, and then we've got another one where we go 2 times 2y plus 1. So what you hopefully can see, that when we're looking for this highest common factor to factorize, well, this whole 2y plus 1 is a factor because we're timesing it. So what we're going to do when we have one of these is we take that out the front. So I'm going to put that, and it's a little bracket, doesn't matter. That's out the front of my bracket, and then I put whatever's left, which is 3x plus 2. And that's how I factorize one like that.